welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited to be back. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. If you don't know me, my name is Patsy, Lady P, and I am so excited to be here. So let me share with you what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Outside of grandparent sitting, I went to a convention, a Black multicultural convention in Orlando. It was really nice and relaxing. I got a chance to sleep in and do a little, you know, R&R for myself, which I so desperately needed. So I did get the opportunity to do that. Outside, I got some churching in, a little bit of hand stamping, hand clapping, and toe stomping, as my grandmother would say. So I got an opportunity to get in there and do that as well. So I was completely relaxed, got rejuvenated with my spirit in the Lord, and I'm ready to go. But I do have school coming up soon, so uh, it's coming. It's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna take my opportunity to relax, get my mind ready before I head uh, back to school. So I am kind of excited about having something to do versus not having anything to do. But for the most part, I've just been laying around doing absolutely nothing, and I am loving all of loving it. I am cooking. My husband used to complain that I don't cook. Like that girl don't know where the kitchen at. But since I've been home and he's been working now in the daytime, I try to have a little meal or something prepared for him when he gets home. Trying to do my little wifely duty, make sure my man's taken care of and make sure he's good to go when he comes through the door. So that's kind of much what I've been up to. I'm going to ask him, go ahead and roll my footage for me. Okay, so thank you again for joining me. If you haven't liked and shared, please like, subscribe if you haven't, and share. Thank you so much. I would appreciate. I see Malika's on the line. Let me give a shout out to her. I hope you're feeling better, love. She wasn't feeling too well yesterday, but I'm hoping she's feeling a lot better today. And as time goes, you'll get better and better. I'm just praying for you. I pray that God just, heal your body. And I see we have seven other people on the line, but I would love to give you a shout out. If you could just type in there hi so I can see your name, and that way, I can give you a shout out. Okay, so I'm not going to prolong the time because I'm really excited about this particular topic. I kind of went through some different ideas as to how I wanted to come because last week, 2 weeks ago, we talked about self love and what do we do to make ourselves feel loved and make ourselves feel good, pat our own self on the back, And I had some great comments and suggestions, which hat goes off to you ladies because some of the things you suggested I even tried as well, and it worked out. So thank you so much for participating and feeding back to me. Hi, Brother Daryl. Thank you for being on the line. Hi, Tanron. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. So I want to talk about what we should wear as women. I can't really come up with the exact topic as I wanted to do, but it says there's reasons why what we wear matters. And it's so important because at this day and time, we see all types of things, no matter where they're going grocery store, airport, conferences, at the school. It's getting to a point where we're not really presenting ourselves as being taken serious. So, our topic tonight is going to be like, what women does dress matter? And as choices, dressing do matter because it gives an influence of perception. It helps with our confidence. It even helps with our career opportunities. hmm And while we have our own personal style and our own way that we express ourselves in the way that we dress, it could definitely help influence our social interaction. And also, it builds our self esteem. So I was like, yeah, I can roll with that. But we're gonna go through a few things here, and we won't. I wanna. If you have anything that you would like to say in the comments, please, and I can respond to them, or you can call in, which would be great. At the number 754-222-2219. So if you want to call in, that's fine, and give us some ideas on how you're feeling and what you think about the topic would be great, because this is an interaction. It's just not, I don't know it all, so I'm always learning, and we can learn and do this thing together. All right. Okay. So first impressions and perception. How you present yourself as a woman, a lady, a young lady, a girl, how you present yourself, it matters. You have to be mindful of you have to be mindful of the attention that you're trying to grasp. Even if you're not trying to grasp the attention, dress prepared to the way that what you're going to receive is how you put out, if that makes any sense. People often judge you by what they see you wearing. Is it right? No, you can't. My grandma used to say you can't judge a book by its cover. So sometimes it's not right. But when you're dressing to present yourself, you want to present yourself in a manner where you're taken serious, you hold confidence about how you feel, and you're holding your head high about you're okay with what you got. And if you put on something and you got to cover it up because you feel uncomfortable, maybe you shouldn't have wore that. Perfect example. Like I said earlier, we were at a conference in Orlando, and we were all having breakfast, and everybody's trying to get their breakfast on before they go to the final service. And a young lady walked in, and I guess when she got dressed, she felt okay because whoever she was with was like, "Hey, you cool." But once she got in the presence of other people, she started to try and pull her jacket closed, which wasn't big enough to close and cover. But if you got to question yourself when you get dressed, do it, because chances are, if you got to question it, you shouldn't be wearing it. And that's how I feel. When you're dressing professionally, you want to enhance the perception and the competence of your trustworthiness. When I go to work, I try to dress like Patsy. I don't try to dress like anyone else. I try to be confident in what I'm wearing. I try to be professional in what I'm wearing. I spend a lot of time, like I go from room to room to check on the teachers and the babies. So a lot of times I'm on the floor. So I try to wear stuff that I can get on the floor with the kids with, which means I'm not going to be showing anything that's gonna show parts of my body that shouldn't be shown. I try to be professional in all manners, but it also depends on the type of work that you're doing. Like I say, I'm constantly on the floor or hanging out with the baby. So I try to dress appropriately for that. And just to have respect for myself and respect for the other people that is around me as well. I try to do that. Hey Nisha, thank you for joining. Um, when I'm in a social environment, I try to wear something that's appropriate, something that's going to how would I say, make me feel positive about who I am, what I stand for, what I believe. So if I am going to, let's say I'm going to brunch with the ladies or with the girls, I'm hanging out and I'm doing brunch. I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm conservative but comfortable and that I look good. I'm gonna dress appropriately to what I'm wearing. When I wake up in the morning, one of the things that I always share with my husband, when I wake up in the morning, I already know. No, I don't. I don't already know. Sometimes I do because I'll set it out the night before. But when I wake up in the morning, based upon how I feel and how, just how I feel, what color I want to wear, all of that plays an important part to help build your confidence and your self esteem as to, you know, how your day is going to be going, how your day is going to continue. So it's important to always have your mindset as to how I want to be presented, how I want to be received, and how I want to look. I try to make sure also that my confidence and my self esteem is in line with one another. Like I don't need anyone to tell me, "Oh, girl, you looking good today," Because when I wake up in the morning and I look in that mirror, I tell myself, girl, you look good today. And half of the time I'll be looking a hot mess. But that's okay because I can build that up. But if I wake up and say, I'm tired and I don't feel like this today, that's how my day is going to go. I'm going to go to the job. I'm going to go clock in 'cause, I got to get my coins. So I'm going to go clock in. But I'd rather go clock in being confident and who I am and what I am. And it all starts with on the out it all starts with how I'm how I feel on the inside is how I should feel on the outside. I should feel the same way. If I'm feeling happy, then I should dress accordingly. If I'm excited, dress accordingly. Build your wardrobe to a point where you can um you can use that to exuberate from the inside out, if that makes sense. Okay, so the next one I'm going to is confidence and self esteem. We already spoke on confidence. We already spoke a little bit on confidence and self esteem. But let's talk about well-fitting, stylish clothing that can help you build your self-esteem. Now, if you're gonna put on a sweatshirt and you're gonna put on clothes that's not gonna be flattering to your body type, then you're gonna run into a problem because you're not gonna be confident in what you're wearing. You're not gonna, even, unless you just run into the grocery store. Because there are times, and I'll throw on a pair of sweats or leggings and a sweatshirt, and I'll go to the grocery store because I'm just running in there and running out. But usually, if I'm going to leave my home, I leave my home representing my husband, my children, my family, myself. Because I don't want him to say, well, Pastor, I saw Patsy in the store. Is she all right? Because that's just not my style. That's not how I roll. I want him to say, oh, yeah, I saw your wife at the store. Oh, I saw Sister Patsy at the store. Lady P, whichever one they call me. I saw her at the store. But you ain't see me at the store in no bathrobe. You ain't see me at the store in no bonnet. You ain't see me in the store in no pajama pants because those things are supposed to be worn at home. And that's where I wear them. So making sure your clothes are fitting you, make sure your clothes are stylish. When you're buying clothes for yourself, always buy a signature piece, something that you can build around. It don't have to be nothing expensive. Trust and believe. I don't buy expensive clothes unless I save for it. So, and it's not a lot of expensive stuff in my closet. I don't need it. It's not what you have, it's how you wear it. So it can come from Family Dollar. It literally can come from Family Dollar. And you can just build it up, build it around and find a signature, something signature, and build out from it. And that's what I share, with my friends. I'm like, no, they was like, oh, you always dress. I don't pay a lot for this stuff. I do not. And also, when you have on nice fitting clothing, it helps build your self esteem, make you feel good. You be like, girl, you looking good today. You know, I saw this one little video about this little girl. She had to be about 6. She said, when I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror and I say, girl, you is cute. She's 6. And if a 6-year-old can look in the mirror and say that to herself, come on, ladies. We got to look in the mirror and say, girl, you looking good today. Hopefully he lets you out the door to go to work. You got to make sure you build yourself up. And not only that, if we married ladies, we want to keep our spouses attracted to us. We want to keep his attention directly on us. So we don't need his eyes wandering. That's why we gotta stay in the game and we gotta make sure that we're doing exactly what we're doing to keep his attention, and not only just to keep our spouse's attention, but to build ourselves up, pat ourselves on the back, let us know that we are looking good and feeling good, right? Can I get a clap for that, babe? Okay, so the next one is self-expression and personal style. This article says fashion is a powerful form of self-expression, allowing women to showcase their personality, creativity, and individuality. That just hit the nail on the head right there. Because like I said, I can't really stress it enough how you have to know and you have to have confidence within yourself. You just have to. You got to be creative with the things that you have. A lot of times people think, "Oh, I need more clothes. I need to go shopping more." No, you don't. You just need to take everything out the closet, put it on the bed, and organize it, and say, "Okay, I can wear this. with this over here, and I could wear this with that over there. You got to be able to be creative with the things that you have. You don't necessarily have to be at the outlets all the time or at the mall. You don't have to be. As a matter of fact, you can do some thrift stuff too, you know. A lot of nice stuff at the thrift store. I've gotten a few items myself, which I visit. I haven't in a while, but I do visit. Um, the clothing choice that you had, the clothing choice that you choose, it should reflect your cultural background. Now you know, come Black History Month, everybody get the business. They doing the things, you know. They got they got to have the African attire. I got a whole like back section in my closet that's geared to Black History Month because that's our culture. Have I ever been to Africa? No, I haven't, but I did get a chance to see Nikki walk down the streets of Africa, which I will never forget that. But you know, you want to bring that into. You also want to bring just the culture of what's going on today, the modern daytime, like what's really happening. You want to make sure that you have a few pieces that goes with the flow. And a white long sleeve shirt that you can roll up and wear in the spring, you can roll it down and wear it in the wintertime. That's something that you could put with so many different things. Make sure that you are being creative and make sure you're also being an individual. You don't have to dress like somebody else. You know, you have to establish your own style, establish your own, you know, thing because your style is basically your personality and your character. So yeah, be careful with that. Don't try and follow the trend of everyone. Try, you know, create your own. That I mean, I remember my oldest daughter was in high school and she was like, "Mom, I really want something different for school." And I said, "Yeah, like what?" She was like, "I don't know. I can't think of anything." I said, "I tell you what, bring me those jeans." And I think that was when flare jeans had came out. And we took those flare jeans and put them in some bleach water from the knee down, and we dried them, and they turned out so good. I was like, okay, so you're gonna wear this and wear a white top. She wore it to school, came home. She went back to a football game, and it was so many different girls wearing the exact same thing. Sometimes you have to start your own thing to get things going, and you just have to be creative in that process of what you're doing. Hi, Nat. Natty in here. Hey, Nat. Watching us from Chicago. Okay. So the next one is women can dress and feel empowered, comfortable, and or stylish depending on their preference. Again, your preference. You have to determine what you're feeling that day, how you feel, what you feel like doing. If you're feeling flirty, if you're feeling, you know, if you even if you're feeling sexy, you know, you dress according to how you feel. Mhm. Okay, social and cultural influences. Throughout history, women clothing has been influenced by culture, economic, and political factors. So true. Social norms and expectations can shape a perception of appropriate attire for different situations. Understanding the social and cultural context of clothing can help women make informed choices about their wardrobe. It is so true. So if you're going to a brunch, you're not going to wear a church suit with a hat. You're not going to do that. You want to dress according to the event that you're attending. So that way, you know, you won't feel out of place or, you know, you won't feel a little uncomfortable when you walk in there all dressed up for Sunday's best when in fact it was brunch or lunch or even if you're going on a date. Dress according to how whatever the event that you're going to be participating in. Keep your social and cultural context of what you're wearing to express how you're going to go about that event, if that makes sense. So I have a little video I'm going to run, and when we come back, we'll talk about it. You roll that video, babes. I gotta stop calling him. Oh no. Okay. The video's not playing, so I'm gonna move on. Okay, so the next thing is I want you to answer this question. You can type it in the in the chat, or you can call in 754-222-2219. The question is classy sexy? Call in, let me know. The content states the content states that yeah, some people find it classy. Um, it's not just about the physical appearance, but it's also about how someone carries themselves, their behavior, and their overall presentation. Do you guys agree with that? Hit me up in the chat. Let me know. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know. Because sometimes there's a cross between being classy and being sexy. Some people think that it can't go together. Some people think that it shouldn't go together. Well, and some people like, it is what it is. It's how you present yourself, how you feel at that particular moment. If you feel sexy, you can feel sexy and not be trashy. You can be classy and sexy at the same time. But if you try to come off with being a little bit vulgar in what you're wearing and you're exposing a lot, it kind of draws attention from you, honestly. Because if someone's looking at, I went, I read this article today where this guy say, if I say, if a man say to you, you're pretty, then he's looking at your outer appearance. If he says that you're sexy, then chances are he want to sex you. But if he tell you that you're beautiful and classy, that means he looked past all of that stuff on the outside, looked directly into your eyes and straight to your heart. Because he knew, for one, you have class, you have character. You're gonna carry yourself in a way that is, in his eyes, was presenting. You're going to carry yourself like a lady. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in the misconception of, you can't be both, but you can. It all depends on what you do. You got to have confidence. You got to have poise about you. You got to hold your head up high. You got to make sure that, you are who you are. Again, last week we talked about self love, and a lot of self love comes along with having confidence in yourself. Also, people that are classy, those individuals, they display that without even trying. They just display that, when you ever walked into a room, and when you walked into a room, it's like everybody in the room just turn to look at you and you go, like, what? Like, what's wrong? What did I do? That's because that's what they see in you. You didn't do anything. You just walked in the room. You carry yourself with such a presence that, not that it demands attention, but it draws attention. So when you're classy and you confident in who you are, it's easy to be, it's with me, I have an issue when people tell me that I'm pretty. I'd be like, okay. But I'd be like, okay, well, thank you. But if they kept saying, oh, it's just so beautiful, I start to feel a little way about that. Um, I don't know why I feel uncomfortable. I don't know why I feel uncomfortable when people tell me that. But if they say, hey, you look nice, I'll be like, okay, cool. But if they start to elaborate on um, my appearance, then I start feeling a little weird. It's crazy when I feel a little weird. But again, it depends on how you carry yourself, how you're going to draw that attention. Not being classy is not just about what you wear. It's kind of like you got to have grace, and you got to have some type of sophistication about yourself, good manners. You don't want to be out and loud. um I used to be out and loud, not that loud. I wasn't ratchet loud, but I let my voice be heard. But I've learned as I've gotten older that my voice, if I bring the tone down, then whoever I'm speaking to, it lowers the chemistry, or should I say the atmosphere, in the situation that may be discussed. So, being confident and poised and having good manners, all of that comes along with being classy. hmm It's just not about that. You got to know who you are. You got to know what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Just the sound. Okay, so we're gonna roll this video. Actually, we're gonna play the audio for the video. Okay, this sound's not working either. But in the video, the gentleman was talking about how men see us from their perspective. I can't really go in detail because I don't I know a few things on there that he said. I think I wrote notes. Oh, he said on there about what we wear, we can cause people to be judgmental of us, how we present ourselves, how we're looking. If you dress vulgar, you're gonna get that type of attention. If you dress, sexy, you may get some attention, but it depends on what you're wearing if you're trying to dress sexy. He stated that men most like a woman that has class and a sex appeal. So that was one of the things he says. You got to dress in a way where you don't feel like uh, the person is getting a different perception of to what you're trying to present. So that was one of the things he said. And he said provocative is a big fat no. Men don't like women that are provocative. They want to smash the women that are provocative, but they're not trying to take the women that are provocative home to meet the mom. So I was like, okay. I thought I thought that would be there. Okay. I thought
Let's
that was
be real. People are going to maybe draw certain conclusions or perceive you a certain kind of way based on how you're dressed. And I think it's good to just be aware and understand that. And I don't think we need to be mad if people want to jump to certain conclusions because of how we're dressed. And this is why it can become a sensitive topic because let's be real, there are some men out there who can be very judgmental, right? And if you're wearing, and not just men, other women, but if you're wearing provocative clothing, right, some people are going to jump to certain conclusions. Okay. They're going to perceive you a certain kind of way, and that might dictate, if they do approach you, how they will approach you.
yeah. All right. I have a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, this is Natalie Richards from Chicago. Um, Ma, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good, good. I wanted to talk about or give a comment about like what sexy and classy is.
hmm
I remember like a long time ago, I remember it being hot. We were out in Daddy was stationed in Okinawa when we sat down and it was a long conversation about the difference between what sexy is, difference between what pretty is and beautiful is. And one of the things you said about sex and sexiness and sex appeal is that you could that sex appeal is really a feeling. It's more of like your energy, who you are. And one of the examples you used was like Holly Berry. You said Holly Berry could wear a Hanes sweatsuit with a top and a bottom, and she would still have that sexiness or that sex appeal to her,
hmm
no matter what she's wearing. And so when I think about that conversation that we had, it it reminds me that you can. It just says that you can be modest and still be a sexy woman or have that sex appeal, but it's like a modesty that I feel like a lot of men really appreciate, or a lot of people really appreciate.
I so agree with that. As I went down the rabbit hole today, and I just kind of put in, my little blind, like what do men? How do men feel about modesty, being sexy, being classy? And a lot of them said that's what they prefer. They prefer. They don't want to see nothing that's gonna leave no imagination. you know? And then, so they want to see a woman that carries themselves with poise and confidence. And you're so right. Sex appeal is an energy, and you can tap into that energy because I'll tap into that energy, and then the next day you'll see me in a pair of sneakers and a ball cap. But
Yeah.
I'm still feeling like I felt yesterday. I just changed the narrative for the next day. And that's, I think, being different and being able to flow back and forth between the two, or between the three, should I say, is good. It's good and it's easy. And even with, in modesty, I even looked up that and I was like, wow, there's so many outfits that you could wear that are still modest, but still sexy, still classy, you know,
Right.
so yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. I'm glad I was able to impart into you guys. Trust me, I prayed and asked God for wisdom when it came down to talking to you girls, because I did not want y'all in the same boat that I went through when I was your age. So I
Right.
appreciate it, and I'm look at you, Lord. You bringing things back full circle. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I
Of course,
appreciate
of
that.
course. And well, thank you so much for having me, Miss Richards.
You and your
Bye.
brother and sister, bye, Nat.
Bye.
Okay, I got a text message from my lump of dump. Thank you, lump. Appreciate that. Yeah. So if we go back, so now we're talking like, hey, you can be modest and not be and still have a classy, graceful, poised, confident look, and still and have sex appeal as well. Like, as Natalie said, it's definitely an energy, and sometimes I can just see it exuberates off my daughters when I'm just kind of watching them from afar. And it's so funny because the last time they were here, they were tearing up my cereal. They was in it, and I happened to stand in the kitchen, and I happened to just look over at them, and even in the process of them eating like they were, and just not paying attention that I'm paying attention to them, I see that I have instilled in them that energy, that confidence, that grace, that poise, and and it's all through the grace of God. I do not hold credit for none of that, because if it wasn't for Him on my side and teaching me how to show and set an example of how a lady should be presented and how a lady should um, carry herself, it is only by the grace of God. Only by the grace of God. Um, the next one is self awareness. A classy person is often self aware and mindful of how they present themselves. You see, this thing keep going back to how you present yourself. And when I think about it, I always go right back and piggyback off of self love. If we don't love us, we can't expect for somebody to love us like we love us. So we got to love on ourselves. We got to have confidence. We got to be aware of what we do. We got to be aware of where we're going. We got to keep our heads up high and look around and make sure we in the best of company. That's important too. The type of company that you keep. If you can't be dressed one way and your girlfriend got a tatas falling out of a shirt. Because guess what? What did it say? Birds together will flock together. I can't remember that statement. My grandma said what she used to say. Birds of a feather flock together. Even if you dress one way, if a gentleman walk in that room and he see you in the presence of this particular company, he's gonna automatically assume that that's how you roll. So you have to be careful with that. And not only that, not just a gentleman, anybody. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, she with them. So learn how to carry yourself like a lady. Learn how to be confident in who you are. Hold your head up high because you are a queen. You are a jewel. You are beautifully and wonderfully made, and you might as well tap into it. You might as well tap into it. If I'm going to tap into it for you, tap on in there. Okay, so dressing well. While dressing is not the only factor, dressing in a way that is both stylish and appropriate for every situation. Every situation. It will contribute to the perception of your classiness. I get dressed to go to the pharmacy. Don't hate me on that. I just don't know who I'm going to run into while I'm out there. And mind you, the pharmacy is 3 minutes from my house. But if I'm going to the pharmacy and I get dressed, I'm going to go somewhere else too. I'm going to probably go up the street to Ross or Publix or something like that. I just make it a fact, I make it a fact not to leave my house disheveled or, just looking a mess. Bottom line, I don't want to be seen out looking a mess. Now, you come to my house, you might see me looking all kind of ways. That's my house. I can do that. And as a matter of fact, my husband is now working during the daytime. So since he's not home at day, he used to work at night, but he, since he's not home during the day, I get to walk around and do whatever I want. Sometimes I'll be in my pajamas at 3 o'clock. Don't hate, babe. Don't hate, because I'll be in my pajamas at 3 o'clock. But I know he coming through that door by 5:15. When he come through that door, my hair is done. I might have some gloss on. I might have did a little eyebrows. I'm dressed. So when he walk in the house, he ain't got to say, "Well, dang, you been in your pajamas all day." Which I'm on vacation. I think I should be able to be in pajamas all day if I want, but you know. So yeah, so and that's what I do. But I don't even want him. We've been married 33 years. I don't even want him to see me looking raggedy all the time. I have my days though. And sometimes he'll be like, "Yeah, you're not feeling it today, are you?" No, I am not. You have a problem with that? Oh, no, no, no. I'm just saying. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, if he say, "Hey, we gonna go out for dinner," or let's go for a ride. I'm gonna go. I might not put on a full face of makeup, but I'm gonna put on enough where I'm presentable when I'm out there with my man. That's what I heard. And I think, us as women, we have to be mindful, especially if we're in a relationship. We want to continue to make sure we look our best. And I'm not saying jumping up at 4 o'clock in the morning, put on a full face of makeup before he walk out the door. That ain't happening. We just ain't the 60s and we ain't crazy, but make yourself look presentable. Make him desire you, make him want you. And even if you're not in a relationship, if you're not married or you don't have make yourself want to be with. Look in the mirror and say, "Is that a girl that I want to hang out with?" You know, is it? Hmm. I saw another article the other day, which was like, I follow this lady on TikTok. Her name is Dallas, and she always be dropping little nuggets to me, dropping little nuggets in her thing. And she's been married. I think she's been married almost as long as Eric and I have been married. But she said, a woman that enjoys her own company and her own peace, a woman that is okay with being alone and she good to go, she can take herself to a concert, she can go hang out this place by herself. That's a confident woman. That's a confident woman. And the man that's going to come along in her life, if she chooses to have one, he's going to appreciate that because she won't be the clingy one. Say, "I'm going out with the boys. See you later. I'm gonna go hang out with my bro." All right, baby, be careful. Call me on when you're on your way. That woman has confidence, and she don't feel like she won't be clingy. And men don't like clingy women, even clingy wives. Trust me, over time they get sick of us. We get sick of them. Oh, and so Malika put in here about a little mystery goes a long way. That is so true. That is so true. A little goes a long way. And it's so crazy because one day I was at work, and that's in almost every situation too, Malika. I was at work one day, and I was telling my teachers, I said, "Hey, I I ran out of makeup." I know I said I ran out of foundation. Or I ran out of makeup. I can't remember if I said foundation or makeup. And they looked up and they was like, "You wear makeup?" And immediately I was like, "Oh my God, does it look like it?" It was like, "No, what's wrong?" I'm automatically thinking something wrong. And they were saying, "No, we didn't know you wore makeup." No, like I've been wearing makeup since I can remember. They was like, "No, it just blends in so well." And trust me, it's a little bit. And even the same way with my appearance, I'm not trying to draw attention to nobody. I got my attention right here at 1721. But when I leave this house, I'm trying to represent him. I don't walk out of the house with my hair a mess. I wear a scarf with a bun in the back or a baseball cap. I try to, present myself the way he would be proud of me as well as me myself. Okay, my last point, y'all, and then we're gonna take some calls, some work calls. Ultimately, ultimately, whether or not someone finds you classy or to be sexy is subjective and varies from person to person. However, many people find the combination of confidence, poise, good manners, and inequalities are associated with class. Can I get a round of applause with that? Again, this all goes back to self-love and how we take care of ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. We got to be able to walk in a I hate to say this, but this is something that I said to somebody, and the Holy Spirit convicted me of it. But I want to share it with you guys. I went to visit a friend's. I went to visit a friend at church, and when I walked into the church, I just kind of felt like all eyes was on me. I felt so. I went and I sat down immediately and started to, like, oh my goodness, what's wrong? Is this dress too bright or what's going on here? This is too much, and I just felt so weird. Okay, so later on, I was talking to my teachers again. I didn't tell them. I didn't share that situation with them or how I felt, but we were talking and talking, and then just the Pat from the hood just kind of bust out and said, "You know, when I walk into a room, I want to look my best from head to toe. When I walk in the room, everyone should take notice that I'm in the room." And they kind of looked at me like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, men and women, children, boys and girls." They were like, "How stuck up?" I guess I can't think of the word. Um, but at that particular, and when I tell the Holy Spirit convicted me so quick about that, but it kind of made me. I said that because of the way I felt when I walked into that church. I felt so out of place, and I felt like I shouldn't be there. But it was a church, so I had a little issue with these people. So I'm like, you know what? If that's how they're gonna be, then whatever. When I walk in, I'm gonna be like this. That is not the way to be. Yes, we should walk with confidence. We should hold our head up high, and we should take note. If someone noticed, smile and nod your head. That's, what I've learned over the years. It's just okay. They notice me, smile. I don't like when people look me up and down and don't say nothing. I end up saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And making them, forcing them to speak back. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I get a lot of up and down from women instead of us encouraging one another and fixing each other's crown. It's like we're in competition. I ain't in competition with nobody. I got what I need right here. So I'm not trying to go for your man. I'm not trying to lean towards you. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to keep myself confident, poised, graceful, and classy. I try to make sure my manners are good. And I think that's where we have to be. We have to make sure that um, our manners are in check because, with us, and we get such a stereotypical thing about, black women and they shaking their heads and all that. The reason when they started saying that, I stopped doing that. I was like, okay, this is stereotypical of what they see us as. So I'm going to stop doing that. But you got to be able to know who you are and who you stand for. I got a comment. Um, you just say, "I'd be so sick." Wait a minute, "I'd be so sick. It'd be hard to look pretty." Oh, I know. But you know what? You can be pretty on the inside. I know you go through a lot with your health and all that, Nisha. But let me tell you something. That man married you because you are the light of you are the apple of his eye. And you just keep on smiling, and when you can be pretty, be pretty, but remember, he chose you to be his bride. You got to be his bride, and he's gonna love you. He gonna love you regardless. So yeah. But if there's anybody want to call in and say hey to me, my time is winding down. But I just kind of wanted to share that with you because sometimes we get in the crossfire or we get in the misconception of, do I have to show all my skin to be sexy, or do I have to show all my skin to pull a man? And well, depends on what type of man you're trying to pull. And that's gonna be the key there. But remember, if you pull him like that, that's what he's looking for. So even once you get him and you start throwing on your sweats and your sweatshirts, he gonna be over there looking at Sally, and Sally showing the skin. You want someone that you can build a foundation with, someone that you can build up and grow from the bottom up. And I think that's important to have a relationship that you can build up from the bottom. And also, men, we have to look at them too, because sometimes they be looking a little messy. I'm constantly buying Eric clothes. I buy him clothes because I know how I want him to look. I know what I want to see. So I sometimes give him the opportunity to choose his own stuff. I do. But for the most part, I make sure I buy him what I want to see him in, because just as much as he wants, I want him to see me looking attractive and sexy to him. He gotta want the same thing for me. It goes two ways. And again, when it's just you know, I'm not single, but if I was, yeah, my peace being by myself, my confidence was rocket through the roof. But what I know now, because when I was younger, I felt like I had to be in a relationship. But for the most part, just keep it simple. Keep your confidence. Wear clothes that are gonna fit you. Wear clothes that's gonna be appealing to you. Um, Natalie put in the comment. She said, "Getting pretty boosts." It does it not? When you get yourself together perfectly. When I used to get my hair done, I used to go to the salon. Whenever I went to get my hair done, you know where I want to go? I want to go hit the club so I could turn up. And because I felt pretty, I looked good. I was ready to go check a tail feather and sweat it all out, which is usually what happened. But when you feel good, you look good. James Brown said, "I look good, I smell good." He was feeling good in that interview. He was feeling good. He was feeling good. So if he can do that and feel good and look good about himself, James Brown, a sweaty mess on stage, gave the best concert they say they've ever had. Was James Brown concert was lit, sweaty, messy, but he gave his all. But if he can say I look good and I smell good, hey, that's why the ladies love him. That's why the ladies love him. So, okay. So with that being said, since I don't have any callers, okay, thank you so much, Natalie, for calling in. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for the night. I'm so excited about our next topic coming up. I won't share that with you just yet, but actually, I am. The next topic is, what do men want? Hopefully, we can get some guys. Hopefully, we can get some guys to call in so they can tell us what they want. Because, like they say, women are from Mars and men are from Venus. Yeah, I think that's about right. Because we don't know what they want. They don't know what we want. So they say. So we got to figure out what each other want and what exactly are we looking for. What are you looking for in a wife? What are you looking for in a husband? So that topic would be what men want. And hopefully some men will listen in and they'll say, that's not what we want. So they can correct us. They can call in and tell us, no, that's not what we want. That's not what we're looking for. You know. So that's what next topic is going to be, what men want. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bid you guys a good night again. Thank you for joining me. If you please like and share, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks. Oh, yeah. Another thing. Someone said to me that because I switched to Thursday night, they can't be on. I can't meet the need of everybody. But if you know someone that's available for Thursday nights, someone that can watch us on Thursday night, please like and share and let them know we'll be back on in 2 weeks. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great, great, great evening. Roll my music.